You're listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast, where we talk sports, mostly football, and a lot about the Browns. Our episodes drop Friday mornings. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. The more we hear from you guys, the better our podcast can be. All right, now let's get into it. All right, welcome into the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. This is your host, Justice, and today I got my dad.
This is Jason. What's going on, brother?
And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the upcoming game the Browns have. We're going to be talking about Cincinnati. And also, later on, we're going to be giving some other cool stuff. But in this first segment, it's going to be focused on Cincinnati. We're going to be talking about kind of our expectations of the game, where we think we may be able to take the Bengals, take it to them in certain position groups, and in other ones, we might have the edge. So starting out here, we're going to start with just kind of an overall synopsis of what you think the game will be like, and then get more further down into how you think players are going to play and all that good stuff. So if you want to go ahead and kind of give a little synopsis.
Okay, so I think that before you had the Browns winning 24-20. I had them 30-12. I still think, well, I don't know. I mean, they did sign Demetric Felton, so they have all of our ins now, and he knows all the secrets to beat our defense. He's like the second coming of Herschel Walker, so I can still see it being 30-12, in my opinion. I don't think, well, Denzel might not play. Whether he plays or not, I don't really think matters. I think our defensive line's going to feast on their offensive line. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. And I think Burrow's in for like a 6-sack day. That's kind of how I see it going.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. Going back to last week, we had talked about roster cuts and who we had on the team. And obviously it changed quite a bit right afterwards.
Right.
You know, we got Demetric Felton ended up going over to Cincinnati. We did end up getting Austin Watkins on the practice squad, which we didn't think would be possible.
I'm almost wondering, I was thinking about that, how stupid we sounded last week when we were talking about it, but I still can't believe he made it through the
No, I can't either.
Through the waivers or whatever the heck it's called.
Yeah, I was very surprised. Maybe there's something in his game that we're not seeing that the coaches know and other people, kind of know. Because based on his play on the field, I mean, he looked like a monster. Granted, it was against, maybe lesser competition.
Well, the other thing too is, I mean, I think there was only, I want to say 10 players signed off the waivers.
10 players is in
total.
Players?
No, total.
Oh, I got you.
I think there was only, don't quote me on that, but I think it was 10 to 15 players completely. That was it, signed off the waivers.
Well, if you think about it, teams feel better about the people that they've seen in their building. They know their playbook, all that good stuff. So, I mean, that is a surprising number, but, I mean, I guess it makes sense. If you have 53 guys and you said, all right, we want them on our team, you got to pick up somebody on waivers. That's taking one of your 53 roster positions.
Right, which is what we did with A.J. Green.
Right.
And I'm surprised we got him back.
Right. Yeah, I think going back to last week and kind of just recapping what we learned afterwards, some of that stuff obviously changed, and I was pleasantly surprised with what they were able to do with the waivers, with the practice squad, getting some guys in that will be good on special teams like Matt Adams. But yeah, as far as Cincinnati goes, I am in the same boat. I think that defensive line is too much for Cincinnati to handle, and we'll get into like what we predict Miles to get and Za'Darius and all these different things. But I think even with Denzel, we have a relatively deep cornerback room. And I think Burrow's going to be having a hard time even trying to think about getting it to somebody rather than, navigating the pocket and not getting destroyed. So I think we're definitely going to have the edge over their offensive line. The defense is going to, I think, have a nice day. I still stick with my 24-20 prediction. The Denzel thing, I'd be lying if I said it doesn't scare me a little bit. But other than that, I feel very confident.
I know if you're a gambler, I don't know if you can do it. I'd have to look on the FanDuel website. But I would first play for Cincinnati. I would bet on it being a screen pass. I would bet that.
To Mixon?
Probably. I would think Mixon would be starting. So, yeah, I would bet that Cincinnati's first possession will be a screen pass, trying to negate some pass rush. I don't know. That's what I'd do.
Yeah, I agree with that. What did you take? How'd you feel about most of the national media guys? A lot of them, I think, like 85% were taking the Bengals. How do you feel about that?
I love it. I don't want them taking the Browns. That way, Because if I'm Stefanski, I'm going in there and being like, look, guys, we've owned this team. No one's believing in us.
Right.
And to me, that's great. The Browns suck when they have expectations.
That is true. I think the national media, I think obviously Joe Burrow is amazing. I'm curious how mobile he's going to be, which I think is very important for this game. I'm curious if he's going to be 100% back. So I don't know that they're factoring that in. I think also, too, they haven't seen everything that's been going on with the Browns over these past, this training camp and the preseason. Obviously, we didn't really play our starters a ton, so you didn't get a good feel of that. I think a lot of the people just saw, oh, well, DTR is pretty cool. Oh, Austin Watkins, is really good. They saw our big names. And our big names in preseason are second and third string guys. Right. So I don't think they put much credit into what our stars can do. No one's realizing how big of an addition Zadarius is.
I think they do.
I don't know, because if you think about that, you got two. I mean, there's not a lot of teams. There's more now, I would say, than most of my football watching lifetime. But there's not a ton of teams that have two multi-digit sack guys. Like, there's usually, if you have even one, it's one beast. So you got like TJ.
Well, if you remember, like when TJ Watt came in the league, they had Bud Dupree on the other side.
Right, which he ended up getting more sacks because of TJ.
Right. Those guys were a good duo for a few years, and then you had
Alex Highsmith.
You had Indianapolis with their bookends, and you had Baltimore with Suggs and.
But that's not common in the league. Those are, you might have four or five teams have ends like that.
Yeah, I don't think just Zadarius. I mean, you look at the defensive line just as a whole. I mean, they're pretty damn good.
Well, you got Dalvin Tomlinson. You brought in Shelby Harris. You got Obo Okoronkwo. You got a lot of our young guys that we're still hoping to see things from, like Jordan Elliott, Alex Wright. Alex Wright, I hear he might be playing this game.
I just don't I don't know how you're going to block it. I just don't.
I don't either. And
because if you double, you can only double one guy.
Right.
And I'm pretty confident the other three they're going to do fine. The defense doesn't worry me at all. Not even with Ward out. Because I think if you have, Chase is their vertical guy.
Yeah.
So if you have you set your defense up, you could take him away.
Yeah.
And I'm confident with Emerson on Higgins, Boyd in the slot. I don't know who they're going to have play slot.
I would think Boyd, or no, Jamar probably will play a lot of slot too.
Well, slot corner.
Oh, I got you for us.
Yeah, because if Ward's out, so now you got to move. I would have Emerson on Higgins, big and big,
yes, all day,
and then put Newsome on Chase. Who are you going to have play slot? The rookie. Well, what about dropping what's his name, the other safety down in there to play slot?
Delpit.
No, McLeod.
I'd be down with that for sure. I think that would be smart, but I don't know. Cam Mitchell, first professional game going against that, receiving core, he's definitely going to get a taste of what the NFL is like. So it'd be pretty rough having him try to go against one of that three-headed monster.
I don't know, man. Everything I've heard about him,
I hear he's a baller.
Yeah, everyone says he's a baller. Well, let's find out.
And then the other part of that too is they did pick up Irv Smith Jr. this year as a tight end. And I think he could be in for a pretty decent season. He showed some flashes up in Minnesota.
It's not going to be in this game.
I don't think. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they'll be able to lock that down with the chosen ones with JOK. But so we talked a little bit about our defense. How do you think our offense matches up with their defense?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Who they got that can cover Elijah Moore?
Mike Hilton. Or is it Mike Hilton? Not Mike Hilton.
No, they got nobody that can cover him.
Yeah, I agree. I was just playing devil's advocate.
They've got two new safeties. I think what's going to happen, and I don't have any idea why I think this way, but I think that Stefanski's going to air it out early, throw to win, throw to get the lead, run to win. I think that's going to be his mantra this game. And depending on that depends too. I could almost see the first 2 possessions since he has the ball, the defense shuts him down. If we can score in the first 2 possessions and get a lead, I think he'd start running the ball more. I think Chubb's going to have about 125 yards rushing. Probably I think he's going to get some passes too. So he'll probably have 3 or 4 catches, maybe for 40 yards. I could see Chubb having a 160-yard total game.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. On my radio show today, I predicted Chubb to get a touchdown, 125 yards. I didn't go into the receiving totals because I do think he's going to get some catches. I just don't know how many opportunities he will get. And I had Deshaun with 2 touchdowns and 220 yards. But because I just don't think they're going to have to pass that much. I think that if they can get, and this is hoping everything goes well, but if they can control the game, I think that they start running the ball. I think that's a great opportunity too, because maybe, if Chubb's already put in, 15 carries, has his numbers and everything, and you're ahead, maybe that's where you can see some of these younger guys that they're trying to kind of spell Chubb a little bit. But I don't know, offensively, I think as I said last week, offenses always start slow. So I think first couple of series, we could start a little slow. They do have a pretty decent pass rush. Their D-line is solid. Honestly, their box is solid. They've got...
they've got decent linebackers. Yeah. Logan Allen, that's a linebacker I like.
Logan Wilson.
Logan Wilson?
I believe so. Yeah, Logan Wilson.
I love that guy. He's pretty good. Their ends are good. They got Reeder. He's pretty freaking good. He'd look good opposite Tomlinson on our team, I think. But, they've got a solid line. But, we're supposed to have one of, if not the best offensive line in the league. So
yeah, I also had said that earlier today as well. I know I'm a Browns fan, but I think we have the best line in the league. But I would say most people would at least put us top 3 to top 5.
I'd say Philly probably has the best offensive line. We're right there though.
See, I don't know about that. I think it depends. Because if you're talking about complete depth, I think ours is just the best. But talking about starters, because I think there's a possibility that we run packages that have 6 linemen, DeJuan Jones playing like a tight end position. I think we're going to maximize our big O-line talent.
Well, I would think that too, but Stefanski, I don't know. Yeah. He likes to be cute. I don't think that's something that I would classify as cute. No, so
you're right.
That's something I would do. I'd put my beef out there and just run straight up the middle, run down their throats. But that's me. I'm not paying $230 million to a quarterback. But I'm interested in a couple of matchups. I want to see Njoku against their safeties and linebackers. I want to see our offensive linemen, our tackles against their ends, because their ends are pretty good. Honestly, their ends are a pretty good duo. I'd put them top 10 in the league as a duo, wouldn't you?
Easy. Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah. So I'm curious for that matchup. I'm also curious their tackles against our ends, because they moved. What's his?
Orlando Brown?
No, he's left tackle. Who's the other guy?
Well, I think they have Lyle Collins, and then they also have Jonah Williams.
Jonah Williams, from what I've heard, is going to start at right tackle.
Yep.
So I think Za'Darius is going to eat him up.
Yes.
And I think Miles is going to eat up Orlando Brown too.
I agree with that.
So I'm curious for those matchups. The biggest thing I'm going to be looking for is I want to see how Deshaun plays.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, the biggest question mark everybody's been talking about. Getting to finally see what this is. Honestly, this is like Christmas for me. Like getting to see what Deshaun looks like. Either way, it feels like Christmas. You could either get coal in your stocking, or you could get Daisy or Red Ryder BB gun. That's kind of how it feels right now. I, as a fan of his, definitely think it's going to be more so on that end. But I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I'm not the biggest fan of his from last year, because that's all I got to see.
Right, of course.
But I'm confident that he's going to play well.
Yeah, and honestly, I keep saying this, if he just plays as well, even if he doesn't play quite as well as Jacoby, Jacoby was consistent. He had a couple of wild plays, but his bread and butter was consistent and making all the passes that were easy ones. If Deshaun misses a couple but has huge wild plays and chunk plays, and it kind of evens out, I'm okay with that, and the Browns will win that way, I think. I think average to above average, or average to just above average quarterback play could win this game, based off of all of our other talent.
Well, I'll say it like this. I don't need big flash plays.
Yeah.
Because he can throw a 50-yard pass and then come back and throw it the next 3 downs, throw it at the ground.
Right.
And that doesn't help us. What I need from Deshaun Watson, what I hope Stefanski does, is put him in position to where he can make easy throws. I want it to look like the Chiefs offense. I want guys running wide ass open, and he hits them. That's all I ask. I don't need him to throw it through a freaking tire to a guy on the 20-yard line, 50 yards down the field. I don't need that. I need him to not throw interceptions. I need him to turn around, hand the ball off without fumbling it. I need him to coordinate the offense. I don't need Deshaun Watson to be Houston Deshaun Watson game.
Right.
I need him to play well enough to win. That's it. And if Stefanski's smart, which he is, I just hope he sets him in position to look good. Because there's guys like me sitting here watching it at home, waiting for him to look like he did last year.
Right.
And I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I think that I really, at least for this game, I'm not super worried. The only reason is because it seems like Stefanski, the Browns, have figured out the Bengals at least to a degree. So I think that we'll be successful in play calling. I think there's going to be great balance this week. We were talking earlier, their secondary. Cam Taylor-Britt and Awuzie are pretty good corners. They're not bad corners, but they have a lack of experience at safety. And Dax Hill, their rookie last year, he's promising, but I think he's just young. I think we're going to have a decent day passing. Again, like I said, I don't think you're going to see that in the yards. Like, you're not going to look at his stat line yards-wise and be like, I don't think you're going to see Deshaun's passing yards and be like, holy crap, he had a huge day. But I think you'll look at, rather, his completion percentage and be like, okay.
So how many attempts do you think he's going to take?
Depends on if we're winning. I think if we're in this game, he goes between 24 and 28. I think if it's a tight game, it's between 26 and 32. I wouldn't want him to throw more than 32. Honestly, I don't really want to see him throw more than 32 at all this year, because that's when you're usually behind and trying to catch up, or you've gotten away from what you should be doing, in my opinion.
Which is what?
Running the ball.
Which is what Stefanski does.
Yeah. And
that's my biggest worry. I've said it forever now.
Well, if you looked at Jacoby, he was averaging 22 to 28. That's perfect.
Yeah, but that's Jacoby.
I know, just saying.
I'll make the argument like I did last year when they made the switch from Jacoby to Deshaun. He was chucking the ball around with a backup quarterback. What delusional world do we live in? He's now got a brand new toy that's supposed to be a top 3 quarterback in the league. What makes anybody think that he's not going to chuck the ball around? I would almost bet money he'll have 40 attempts in this game, because Stefanski wants to. And this, I hope this doesn't happen, but this is how I see it going. I see 40 attempts. He'll probably be like 60 to 62% with 300 yards is what I'm guessing. Which, as long as we win, I'm good with that. But I can also see it going where our defense comes out, because we're playing at home. So the defense is going to be rocking. The crowd's going to be rocking. I can see the first 2 possessions for the Bengals are 3 and outs. We get the ball back. He chucks it around. It could be 3 and outs for us, because he's not doing what he needs to do. And that's utilize all your weapons, not just Deshaun Watson.
No, I see that too. I can see that. But I just think that for me, when I get a new toy like that, say you got a Tesla, right? You want to go show it off a little bit, but you don't want to go and put a ton of miles on it. You don't want, the more passing attempts he has, the more variability there is in his confidence. So for me, I want to, all these narratives are going on that he may not be completely back yet. Well, if that's the case for me, I want to put him in a position where I don't want to handcuff him anymore, but I want to call plays that put him in a position to be successful.
That's what I'm saying.
High completion percentage, and then limit the opportunities to a point where he doesn't feel overwhelmed, doesn't feel like he has so many opportunities to make mistakes. And then you build on that confidence going forward. And, you know, if he's in week 6, or say even week 5, and we're trying to come back on San Francisco, and he has 40 attempts, and we end up winning, and he has 320 and 3 touchdowns, yeah, that I'm totally cool with.
Yeah, like, okay, so if the game starts out and the defense isn't what I think right off the bat, the Bengals go down and score, we go 3 and out, the Bengals get the ball back, go down and score again, and we're down 14, okay, even it depends on the time in the game.
Right.
If it's
still
10 minutes, 10 minutes left in the second quarter, we better still be running the ball.
Right.
But all I can do is go from what I saw last year, and that was we're chucking the ball.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I was upset with Stefanski last year is 14 points unless you're in
fourth quarter,
and even fourth quarter, even in with 7 minutes left. Because all you gotta do, say you have the full fourth quarter, all you gotta do is go and score, hold them, and then score.
Yeah, but last year our defense couldn't do that.
That's fair, but
so like this year, if our defense is able to do that, okay. But like I can almost see it that way. Like I can see where he's coming from, doing it like that. But there was a lot of games we were in with Jacoby Brissett, a career backup quarterback, that we came out and we started chucking the ball.
To me, it never makes sense why you go and throw the ball around like that. The reason being is because, okay, they score and you're down 14 points in the fourth quarter. I don't want to go down and score immediately to give them another opportunity to put it to 14 points again. For me, what I want to do is I want to kind of have a defensive reset where they get some time to breathe. You know, the best defense is a well-rested defense that never has to be on the field because you have long, sustained drives. So for me, if I'm going to the fourth quarter with down 14, I want to have a nice long drive, and that will amp up the defense, amp up the crowd a little bit. You're still in striking.
Well, what's your definition of a long drive, though? Because if you're in the fourth quarter and you take 12 minutes off the clock.
Oh yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, say, 4 to 5 runs and 6 pass plays. 11 plays, you should be able to knock that out in probably, 7, 8 minutes? So you're sitting at 7 or 8 minutes left on the clock. You go down and get a 3 and out, and then you got a drive to either tie it or make a 2-point conversion and take the win. That to me is just as optimistic as driving down really quick scoring and then giving the ball back to them to score if you don't have faith in the defense.
Right.
You're just repeating the cycle.
Well, I don't think that shouldn't be an issue with this team. I mean, looking at we did the roster last week. Looking at the roster, I mean, there's other than our division games, 1, 2, depending on how Russ is, would be 3, 4. There's only 5 games other than our division games. So basically there's 11 games that your defense would be in a situation where that would even be an issue. I mean, playing Indy, if I have to worry about my defense freaking stopping a rookie quarterback, we got bigger problems.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to, now when we play the Jets, if Aaron Rodgers is what Hard Knocks makes him out to be, the next coming of Christ himself, I mean, then okay, we'll have to do that. If we go out and we throw 50 times against Indianapolis, as long as our defense is playing good, if we throw 50 times and use that like another preseason game.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think that the balance of an NFL game is the hardest thing, even as a coach, to manage because there's so many other factors that go into that. So honestly, when you look at stat lines, it's hard to tell. There's things that you just don't see in the stats. So for me, as long as it feels balanced, it feels like you're using both passing and rushing to set up further attacks, I think I'll feel very comfortable in that. And I think based off of the Browns' history with this team, I think that they're in a good position this week to do that.
I think so too. I think the Browns should win this game, not easily, but easily, comfortably. At least you've got them at 24-20. Right. I wouldn't call that comfortable. I've got them at 30-12, which is probably going to be, I hope, like 32-22 or something like that if the Browns win.
I could see that for sure.
Because I kind of took off my Homer glasses this week and actually thought about stuff.
Right. All right. Well, that was our little preview of the game this week for Cincinnati. Up next, we're going to go through all the other games on this weekend. We're going to go through the over-unders, the spreads, kind of give our predictions. We'll get back to you after the break. You're listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. Our episodes go live Friday mornings. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and a whole bunch more podcasting apps in the future. Thanks for listening to us. We highly, highly appreciate it. You can follow me on socials. It's Justice Garber, pretty much anywhere you look. And then you can follow and rate the podcast on the podcasting apps. All right, let's get back into the action. All right, welcome back to Chillen with the Dawgs. Again, I'm your host, Justice, and I'm here with my dad,
Jason.
So this segment here, we're going to talk about some more of the games going on this weekend. We're going to go through each game. We're going to give the money lines, the over-unders, and the spread. And we're going to pick who we think is going to win, if they're going to cover the spread, all that good stuff. So what's our first game?
Lions at Chiefs.
Lions at Chiefs. All right. You want me to start or you want to go first?
Go ahead.
All right. So what's the spread on that?
The spread is Chiefs -5.5.
Chiefs -5. So obviously, I think I was talking about this one earlier today. I think this one's going to be a lot closer than people think.
Just so you know, Travis Kelce is in doubt. He's doubtful for the game.
That's a good point. All right. So I think that game is going to be even closer than I originally thought it was going to be about a 5-point difference. But now hearing that changes things. I think KC still wins, but it's a nail biter. I'm going to say 31-28.
So you're saying that the Lions will cover the spread?
The Lions are going to cover the spread, but the Chiefs win.
Okay. So are we talking like, are we giving advice for betting right now, or are we just talking about the spreads?
No, I think we'll just talk about it. Don't want to give someone bad advice, but
well, anybody who listens to me trying to bet, considering I'm horrible at it, it's a bad idea. That's I'm just letting you know. Anything, because I do some FanDuel wagers and some DraftKings wagers, and I'm plus money, but I'm not really that good at it. I'm kind of stupid when it comes to it. But this game, I would take the Lions with the spread. As of right now, I wrote the spreads down 5 minutes ago. So at 6:40 Tuesday afternoon, this is the lines we got. So I would take the Lions plus the 5.5, and the over/under is 52.5, and I'd probably take the under there.
I would take the over.
You would take the over? Yeah. So you think that, if you're 30 to, what'd you say?
30 to 28.
38, 28?
31 to 28.
31 to 28.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you take the over then.
Yep. I think that's going to be a higher scoring.
I forgot Chris Jones isn't playing.
Right. Chris Jones isn't playing. And if you remember, I mean, everyone's talking about a lot of those receivers for KC making some strides. And
well, if you think about it, I mean, I made a wager on Travis Kelce to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and he didn't.
Yeah.
It was everybody else on the team.
Right. And then, if you remember, too, the Lions, they had no problem scoring points last year.
No,
they scored a ton of points. So I think that's going to be a high-scoring game. So you're taking the Lions the spread. Are you taking them to win outright? Or?
No, I wouldn't do that. They don't have Pat Mahomes. I mean, Kansas City at home, that's a tough beat. But I think you're right. I think it'll be close. So I actually might throw some money on the Lions plus 5.5.
I think with all those factors, with Chris Jones and Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. You're right. I think I'd take the over there, too. And I'm writing this down because I'm going to actually make some of these wagers.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
right.
So you ready to go to the second game?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, 49ers at Pittsburgh. And as far as I know right now, I do not believe Joey Bosa is playing.
Yeah, he's still holding out. So unless they make a contract agreement here in the next couple of days, or
well, even that, can he play? I mean, he hasn't practiced.
Nick Bosa.
Yeah, but you want to put him out there and get him hurt?
Well, I'm sure he's training, right now and everything. Obviously, I don't think anybody right now is going to be in football shape anyway.
Well, I get that, but at least these other guys are hitting each other in practice.
If it's me and I got a chance to play Nick Bosa, I'm playing.
Okay.
So
anyway, the Niners are favored by 2.5. So Pittsburgh's a home dog.
All right. So I was talking earlier today with Mr. B Easy, one of my classmates, and he's a big Steelers fan, and he has no doubt in the world that Pittsburgh's going to stomp them.
Okay, so take the Niners?
Yeah.
Because they're stupid in Pittsburgh?
No, I don't know how anybody could possibly think that's going to be the case. And granted, I should say that the 49ers are my third favorite team, so there might be some bias. But I think that the 49ers are just too complete a roster. I think that I don't know what everybody sees yet in Kenny Pickett. Maybe I'll see it some this year. Everybody's talking about him like he's hurt.
Dude, he looked pretty good last year at the end of the season. I hate the Steelers. I hate that place. I want to go pee on their field so bad. But I'm telling you, that he did not look bad last year at the end of the season.
I know, but everybody's talking about like he's Joe Burrow.
Oh God, no.
Like that's what Steelers fans that I've talked to make it sound like.
Okay, so who you taking?
So I'm taking the Niners. And what's the spread? 2.5.
2.5.
I think they cover that spread.
Well, I do too, because I'd take the Niners, and I would actually take the under at 40.5, which that's only 21 to 20.
I think it's going to be a nice one game.
See, I don't think so.
Two.
Great defenses.
The Niners defense.
The Steelers defense.
Yeah.
Great
defenses.
Okay. Well, I would parlay the 2.5 with the Steelers or the Niners, and I'd probably take the over because 40.5 just doesn't seem like much for an NFL
you're
game.
right. That is very, very low.
That's not much for an NFL game.
Where is that at?
It's at Pittsburgh.
They're probably going to have similar weather to us, so it's probably not going to be too bad.
No, it's supposed to be, I think, in the high 70s. So
I wonder why they're calling for that low, unless they don't think Brock Purdy's going to do it.
Well, that'd be my guess. You got two shitty quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Well, Purdy's not crappy, but I mean, they're second-year quarterbacks.
Right. I think I would probably change mine to the over as well, because 40's the low.
I think it's low. I mean, we got some below.
You can have a couple defensive touchdowns.
Yeah, we got some below 40s on here. So okay, what do you think your final will be?
I would say I think it'll be close, but I could easily see 23-20.
I was thinking 24-21 or 24-20. Yeah. Okay, so that's the Niners and the Steelers. The next game's Carolina Atlanta. Carolina's Dawgs, road Dawgs. They're getting 3.5. So it'd be Atlanta minus 2.5 or 3.5.
So this one, obviously, I'm not a fan of either. Of these teams. I think this one's one of the weaker ones.
So you're saying this is the prison inmate game?
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of players on both teams. It's just these aren't teams I really root for, and I think that they're going to be towards the bottom this year in the league. So I do think Atlanta has more weapons. I think that their quarterback play so far will probably be very similar between Bryce Young and Desmond Ridder, but I like Atlanta's weapons better.
Isn't Ridder a second-year guy?
Yeah. I mean, they're both really young.
Right.
And I do like Drake London a lot. I like Kyle Pitts. I like their running back. But their defense has gotten a little bit better.
How's Carolina's defense?
Carolina's defense isn't bad. They're young, but they're not bad. Their secondary is real. But their best receiver is Adam Thielen, which I like Adam Thielen a lot, but I wouldn't want him to be my number one, I don't think. Especially when there's no one else behind him. And then Miles Sanders is new. Obviously you got a brand new quarterback. So personally, I would take Atlanta here, and I think that.
So you're going to give the 3.5?
No, honestly, I could see this being super close as well. And they always play close. Last year, both games, I'm pretty sure they played like a 3-point game. So I think that Carolina covers, but Atlanta wins. And then what's the over-under on this one?
39.5.
That goes under.
Under 39.5?
Yeah.
So 20 to 20 is basically what you got to hit. Variations of that.
Right.
So do you think it could be like 24 to 17, 20 to 17? That's what you think it'll be?
Yeah. 2017 sounds right to me.
Who's winning? Atlanta? You're taking Atlanta with the point or giving up 3? Okay.
2017, that allows Carolina to cover. So.
Well, but you took Atlanta.
Yeah, they're going to cover, but Atlanta's going to win the game.
So you want the money line then?
Yes.
Okay. Because
you're talking about bet, man. I'm just talking about the individual stats.
Yeah, but you said Atlanta's going
to win outright.
Okay, so that'd be money line.
Right.
So, but you did say, I said, so you're taking Atlanta minus 3.5. That means they've got to win by 3.5.
I'm not.
Okay, so you're taking Carolina to cover.
Right.
Okay, now we got you.
Sorry, I misheard you.
Okay, so you're taking Carolina to cover, Atlanta to win outright,
Yep.
and you're going under.
Yep.
Okay.
How about
I
you?
have no feel for this game at all. I know really nothing about either team. I saw us play Carolina last year and Atlanta last year, and those are the only two games that I watched either team. So I have really no feel for it. So if I'm betting, I'm not going to touch this game because I have no idea. And I normally wouldn't bet before I wouldn't bet week one typically anyways, because you never know what you're going to get.
Yep.
I mean, Kenny Pickett looked like the next coming of Peyton Manning in preseason.
He did look good.
And he could come out in the first game and throw 6 picks. I mean,
Right.
So I typically steer clear week one other than I'll bet the Browns or the Bengals, teams I know a lot more about.
Right.
So I'm not saying nothing about that because I wouldn't bet it.
Okay.
So the next game is Houston at Baltimore. Baltimore's giving 10.
That's a really big spread, in my opinion. I think so. I'll try to be a little bit more clear this time. I think Baltimore wins this game, but they don't cover the spread.
Okay, so you would take Houston to cover,
Yep.
and Baltimore money line.
Yep.
The over under is 43.5.
I think I go under on that too.
You'd go under 43.5.
Yeah, I do think 10 points is a lot. However, I think that's a lot of points for Stroud to get up there. So I think for me, I would go under that.
So you would go under.
Yeah, I could see that game being 23 to 10 or something like that. Yeah, you said it was half, right? So
Well, 23 to 10, Baltimore would cover.
Oh, you're right. You are right. So I'm going to say 23 to 14.
Baltimore would still cover. No, it would not cover.
Yep.
Okay, you're right.
Yep.
All right. Well, I would take the points. I'd take Baltimore to cover, and I would take the over because I think Baltimore's defense is suspect. And granted, I don't know nothing about Houston really right now. Like I said, I don't really bet games like that week one. I want to actually dive into it after week one. But
I think for me, the lack of scoring there on the Houston side isn't because Baltimore has a great defense. Because I agree with you. I think their defense is a little bit more suspect this year. But I think that Stroud, I love Stroud, but I think he could struggle in this.
Well, what weapons do they have down there in Houston?
Not a lot.
Because I've not seen anything about Houston. Nothing.
Not household names, though.
Other than Stroud has looked bad in preseason.
Because they don't have Cook anymore. They have Damian Pierce, who he's a baller, but that's their running back.
Right.
As far as receivers, they have Collins. Can't remember his first name, but they have Collins. He's okay. They got a lot of guys who are young and could have developed into pretty good receivers, but they lost Brandon Cooks, so they don't really have what I would say is a top flight number. Nico Collins. Yeah, I think that Houston's going to struggle a little bit this year. I think their defense is going to be much improved with having D'Amico Ryans as their
I think so too.
And having Will Anderson. He looked like a freak in that one that we watched. So that's how I see that one.
Okay, so next game's Cincinnati at Cleveland. Cleveland is a home dog, plus 2.5. Cincinnati's favored, and the over/under is 47.5.
Well, we talked about this one plenty. So
I've already bet this game.
Yeah.
I took Cleveland because I think they're going to smoke them. So I tried to parlay it, and at the time I couldn't parlay it all together. I might be able to do it now, but I did Cleveland plus 2.5. I took them on the money line, and I took the over because I think they're going to score 30-some points.
Okay, so for me, I kind of echo most of that. I think the Browns win. They obviously cover by doing that. My score would have meant the 24-20 I gave would mean that they would be under.
Under, yep.
However, I'm sort of rethinking that because, what is it? You said 47.5?
47.5.
No, I'll keep the under. I'll keep the under.
I mean, they've got to score basically 30 points.
Right.
And keep Cincy 24 and under to cover. or to go over or under.
Yeah, I like the under there.
Okay. Next up, Bucks Vikings. Vikings are favored by 6.
All right.
Baker Mayfield quarterback for the Bucks.
I think I went with Minnesota in this one. I like Baker, obviously. Big fan of Baker. But I think Minnesota's going to take this one. I think Baker might do well this season. He's got plenty of receiver help there. I just think that it might take him a second to get in tune with his teammates there. And Minnesota, I think with Jettis and Cousins, all that, I don't think they're going to cover, but I think that.
How's the Bucks defense look?
All right. I mean, they still got Devontae David. They still got Devin White. They lost. I think that they're pretty good still. They got Bengals.
Can they match up with the receivers for the Vikings?
No.
They can't?
No.
How about the line play? D-line versus the Vikings offensive line. Is Cousins going to be under pressure?
Yes.
If he's under pressure, that's bad for him.
That's true.
So I am going to take, which I probably would not bet this game until I actually see how Baker looks.
This is definitely what I wouldn't bet.
Yeah, I would not bet this game, but if I had to, I would take the Bucks to cover. If I was going to do anything on this game, I would. The money line is minus 255, so I wouldn't even bet that. The over under is 45.5, so I would probably take the under and the Bucks to win if I had to, or not win but cover.
Yep, I like that. I definitely think that Minnesota, if I had to guess, is going to win. I think that the Bucks cover, and I think that it goes under as well.
Okay. Next up, it's Arizona-Washington. Washington's favored by 7.
Okay, I like it a lot. I think that I'll make this one quick. Washington wins, covers, everything. I think they're going to destroy it.
Over-under is 38.5.
I think that they get 40 points by themselves.
Okay, so you're going. I would.
I don't think that, but
I would do all that too. I would take Washington on the points, which I hate betting point spreads like that. But I would take Washington with the 7, and I'd take the over on that game.
I love Josh Dawgs, but I can see him throwing 2 pick sixes.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Who's he throwing to?
I don't even know, to be honest.
I don't think they have any receivers anymore.
I mean, D-Hop's not there. Hollywood Brown isn't there, right?
I don't think so. But I don't know that.
I actually don't know that.
It's hard for me. I can't follow these teams until the season gets started.
Right.
Okay, so next up is Tennessee at New Orleans. New Orleans is favored by 3.
That one, I see. I'll take New Orleans in that one.
To cover?
Yeah.
So they're going to score 3.5 more?
Yep.
Okay.
I see that. I think a lot of people always, I don't understand it, but a lot of people don't care much for Derek Carr, or at least give him as much props as I would. Yeah, I love Derek Carr. I think that he's in such a better situation now, getting out of Vegas.
Yep.
And, I mean, Chris Olave is a monster. Didn't they get the tight end back?
Jimmy Graham?
Jimmy Graham, they got back.
Yeah, but he's 100 years old.
Yeah,
he's as old as I am.
They got that other not young, but they got the other tight end, Johnson, I think is his name. They've got a couple of good pieces there. Alvin Kamara is suspended, which that kind of sucks, but I think they'll be okay.
Michael Thomas is back.
Michael Thomas is back. That defense is solid.
Defense is really good.
Right. I think that they win that one pretty easily. And I've been down on Tennessee all year, all preseason, everything. I don't know what it is. I don't hate Tennessee. It's just I just don't see any spark.
Didn't Tennessee get D-Hop?
Yeah, I don't think that moves the needle.
No, not really. Okay, I would take New Orleans minus 3.5. The over-under is 41.5. I'd probably go over on that. I mean, that's only 20 and 20. So I could see both teams scoring 20 points.
Yep, I can see that.
Okay. Next up is Jacksonville at Indy. Jacksonville's favored by 4.5, which is, I don't even understand that spread. And then the over-under is 45.5. Well, I don't understand this. Okay, hang on. So Baltimore, if you bet Baltimore money line, it's minus 560.
Right.
Jacksonville money line is minus 240, and they're playing Indy, which, in my opinion, is almost as bad as Houston. So either Vegas or the sports books are higher on Baltimore than they are Jacksonville. That line seems odd to me.
No, I think a lot of people are incredibly high on Baltimore this year.
I don't get it, but I don't understand how Jacksonville can only be a 4.5 point favorite against Indy.
I think that's going to be a slaughter.
I've heard from gamblers, if you see something that doesn't make any sense, like that game, like I would jump on that. Something's going on there. That don't even sound right. Like they got Washington at -7 over Arizona, and neither one of those teams is a world beater. And they got Jacksonville, who people are talking about Jacksonville winning, like making a run to the Super Bowl, and they're playing Indy, who just drafted second overall,
fourth. But yeah, I mean they just drafted a quarterback,
and they're only dogs by 4.5. That's probably a game I wouldn't bet. I'd maybe take the over on that.
I would take the over on that because I see that game going 38-10. Jacksonville's smoking it.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
But Vegas typically isn't wrong.
No, I know. Maybe, there must be some sort of injury or something. There has to be something going on because that's crazy.
Well, anybody that's taken advice from us, number one, that's not a good idea.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Number two, my advice would be stay away from that game because something isn't right. Something don't look right about that. Because Indy to win on the money line is plus 198. That's not even 2-1. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me either. Okay. So what would you do? Would you bet that game? I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't touch that. Well, no, honestly, unless there was some news that I didn't hear about, I would. Because I think that's just.
You think they messed up? It happens, but
I know, but that's crazy to me that it's that low.
Well, I would just throw some chew money or cigarette money or something like that on it. Maybe take the point, maybe parlay it. Take the points in the over, and parlay that Jacksonville, because there's no way Indy can beat them. I wouldn't think. It
is a rivalry game.
That's scary though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but so is. Well, I guess that's really not. Okay, let's move on.
Yep.
Seattle or Rams at Seattle -5.5. Seattle's getting 5.5.
They're getting 5.5?
Well, no. They're giving 5.5. So Seattle -5.5.
Okay. So this is another rivalry game.
Yeah, but is Matt Stafford starting?
Yeah, I believe so.
I'd heard he wasn't.
Oh. Well,
I don't know. That's something you might want to look up.
Well, anyway, even if Matt Stafford's starting, I still think that Seattle blows the doors off of them.
You got a lot of faith in Seattle, don't you?
I do, and I like Seattle. So I like Geno. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kenneth Walker. They just got a lot of dogs on that team. That team, I feel like, is fun to root for, and I think that this is going to be a very, very difficult year for the Rams. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Stafford get moved relatively early so they can tank for a quarterback.
They're the third best team in the division.
Yeah, no, that division went from being one of the best in the NFL to, Arizona's in the floor.
Was it really, though, ever the best in the NFL?
It was pretty good because the Rams, and I remember the Rams were playing against Seattle, and Seattle was 8-2, and they were 9-1. The high end of that was really good, and then the Rams end up winning the Super Bowl in that era, and then Arizona started 13-0. They had a solid division.
Yeah,
but I think that the Rams, even though they got superstars still with Kupp and Darnold, and I think Stafford's still a great quarterback. They have those guys. I think it's going to be a rough year.
Well, I'm not seeing anything on Stafford being out, so
I still think that Seattle covers.
The over-under is 45.5.
I think, actually, I don't know. I don't think they're going to have to score that much to beat. So I'm going to say the under on that one.
Well, I think I'd take Seattle in there, too, because I think the Rams will. That's just me. That's all I got to say about that.
All right.
So the next game is Philly at New England, and Philly's -3.5.
This one can go quick. I think Philly's going to destroy them. So I predict them to cover whatever the spread is. I also predict the over because I think they're going to score a ton of points.
The over's 45.
I still think they're going to score a ton of points.
I agree.
I could see A.J. Brown having 228 yards in this game.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, I hope he does for my fantasy team.
Well, I agree. I think Philly will cover, and I think it'll go over too. So next up is Las Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos. And Denver's -4.5. -4.
Okay. This is another one of those games that kind of feels like,
It's a rivalry game.
It is a rivalry game, but
Or division game.
yeah.
I don't know how much of a rivalry it is anymore.
Yeah. I think that this is two quarterbacks right now that I don't know what they are, Jimmy Garoppolo and Russell Wilson. If I had to put my faith in one more over the other, I guess I would say Russell Wilson, but I really don't have a ton of faith in him right now.
Well, you're right. I don't have faith in either quarterback, but I do have faith in Sean Payton.
Well, there you go. And
so
there you go.
If I had to bet this game, which I am not going to bet this game, but if I had to, I would take Denver -4. The over/under is 44.
Well, they have Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, so that makes his life a little bit easier for Broncos.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's a hard game for me to pick.
Well, they couldn't cover spreads last year with Derek Carr as their quarterback, and they've had the same people.
You're right. Oh, you're right. So let's go with, or at least I'll go with Denver.
Well, that's what I'm doing. I would get if I had to. I would not bet this game.
And what's the spread? Or what's the
over or under is 44.
I think I'll go under on that. I don't think it's going to be a particularly high score.
I don't either. But I mean, if you think about it, most NFL games, I mean, you get your 30 to 3s, but most games are right around there, 40, 42 points.
Oh yeah.
Because you get 20 and 20. I mean, that's the way I look at it. So you'd say under?
Yeah.
I'd say over, but just barely. Maybe 45. I mean, that's 23 to 22.
Right. I mean,
I hate that over under.
Yeah, that number is hard.
I would stay away from this game completely. But if I had to, I would take Denver -4.
What's the money line for the Raiders?
The what?
The Raiders.
+152. Which I like to look at the money lines. Like the one with, where was it? They're normally pretty close. Like Washington, Arizona was Washington -350, Arizona +280. But typically, I mean, they're within 50 positive and negatives. Anytime I see a big discrepancy, I look at that.
Yeah.
But most of these are pretty close to even money. I mean, the Baltimore is -560, but you get Houston at 420,
right.
+420. But who the hell's going to take Houston? Okay, the next game's Green Bay at Chicago, and this one surprised me. Chicago's favored by 1.5.
Well, I'm taking Chicago here. Green Bay, that's another team I don't know what they're going to be this year. Everything from camp, people are saying Jordan Love's doing impressive things, but I think that...
Can I give you a hot take on the Packers?
Yeah.
Because the Packers are my second favorite team.
Yeah.
And I think with the cancer that Aaron Rodgers was the last 2 or 3 years, now that that's been excised out of the Green Bay Packers body, I got a feeling Green Bay is actually going to be pretty decent. They've got good receivers. They're young guys.
Yeah.
But if Jordan Love can be average,
the defense is solid.
The defense isn't bad. Like, I would take Green Bay +1.5. They say you get 3 points for home field. So technically, if you look at it like that, Green Bay's favored.
Right.
But they're not. Right. So I would probably take Green Bay there, personally.
No.
But I could see it going over the 43.5 total.
I could too.
Because, I mean, hell, Fields could run for 3 touchdowns himself.
Right. I definitely see that. I think that game is probably one I wouldn't bet because there's so many variables and so much has changed for each team. I mean, Chicago is the most active during free agency, everything. So there's been a ton of turnover for both of those teams. I think for week one's purposes, I probably wouldn't touch this game. But if I had to pick, and it's probably based off of my love for the Bears, I'd probably go with them, and I would definitely say over.
Yeah,
well.
I agree with you on the over. But I would take the Packers.
That's fair.
Because the way I look at it, they're actually favored.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So if they're getting points, the way it's always been
I
explained
like
to
their
me,
defense way better.
the way it's always been explained to me is you get 3 points for home field.
Yep.
So anything under 3, if you're a home dog, well, if you're a home favorite, but it's under 3, technically you're the dog.
Yep.
So I would take the Packers there. And I actually might bet that game. But I would parlay the spread with, like, Aaron Jones touchdown or something stupid like that.
Did you hear, not to get too far off topic, but did you hear the rumor that Packers were looking at Jonathan Taylor?
I heard that.
Imagine him and Aaron Jones go. That'd be pretty sick.
I don't know why you would do that.
I don't either, other than maybe you're thinking that Aaron Jones is wanting to move on after this season because he signed a 1-year contract, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense to me.
And it's a Wisconsin reunion for Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, so why wouldn't you just trade Aaron Jones for him then?
I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I think the only reason, like if I was,
You got the same guy, really. If you get Jonathan Taylor, you're getting Aaron Jones.
I personally like Aaron Jones better.
So do I, because he never got the volume of what Taylor got.
Right.
And I like Aaron Jones. He's pretty dang good.
And he's great out of the backfield.
So
and a great block.
If you're worried about like that, what's that guy's name? The backup, Madison.
You're thinking about the Vikings guy, Alexander Madison. You're talking about Green Bay's.
Yeah.
A.J. Dillon.
Yes, Dillon. They were talking about trading him for Taylor. And then you still got to pay Taylor. Well,
and you probably got to give up picks because you can't do that.
Why would I want to do that? That doesn't make any sense. I think that was bullcrap, personally.
You could be right.
So, okay, next game. Miami at the Chargers, and the Chargers are favored by 3.
This is a game I really want to see. I think this is going to be a fun game. What's in the over? I think it's going to go over, first off.
The over is 50.5.
I think it's going to go over that.
It's 2 good defenses.
2 good defenses and 2 pretty good offenses, too. And I really think that's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Miami wins.
So you would take Miami plus the points for sure,
Yep.
But you'd be better off to actually take, if you think they're going to win outright, you'd be better off to take the money.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
And if you could parlay it, do both. But
I don't think you can, right?
I don't know. It
depends on the sport.
It's been a year since I bet football, man. I can't remember. But I don't know about that over. I don't know if I'd go over 50.5.
Well, if you think about it, 28-27, that's over. You know?
Yeah. Okay. You talked me into it. That's what I'd do. But I'd take Miami too because I think the Chargers suck. But I don't like the coach. I don't like the quarterback. Well, I like the quarterback. But
you don't think he's as special as ever, or hasn't won anything?
He's damn good.
He is very good.
Like, he's damn good. Like, everyone talks about Watson being a top 5 quarterback, but like when I watch that kid play, he looks like a top 5 quarterback. So I don't really know why I don't like him. I just don't like him. Maybe he's just too pretty. I don't know.
Well,
I mean, there's not many guys better looking than me, but I would say he's one of them.
Yeah, I feel you there. Have you ever seen him without long hair, though? He looks completely different from
like a doofus.
Yep.
I've not ever seen him. So, okay, so you're going Miami?
Yep, I'm going Miami.
Next game, Dallas at New York Giants, and Dallas is favored by 3.5.
So this game, I think, is also incredibly interesting. Dallas and New York always play really tight.
Yep.
And so I think that it's going to be a field goal game. I think Dallas ends up winning, but they don't cover. I see, what is the spread? I say
3.5.
I say under that, it's going to be 23-20.
Okay. So
I think I saw that exact score 2 times last year.
So you would take the Giants with the spread.
Yep.
Okay. I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole. I don't like the over-unders 46.5. I could see it going 24-23 and being over. I could see it going 17-14, being under. Or 20-17 and being under. I mean, I don't like any of that. I wouldn't touch that game. Just because I don't know what you're getting. I don't know how New York's going to look. I don't know how Dallas is going to. I don't really know how any of these teams are going to look. But just the feels I get off of them, I don't like that at all. I would stay away from that. Personally.
Yeah, that's fair.
But if I had to bet it, I'd probably take the Giants just because they're home. Well, that'd be 6-point dogs. Yeah, I'd probably. Yeah, I wouldn't bet it. I wouldn't bet it. So next up is the Jets, or Buffalo at the New York Jets.
And this is Monday night?
As far as I know.
All right. So this is another game I'm really excited to see.
Let me make sure on that Monday night.
I think everybody's excited to see how the Jets look this year. I think it's going to take Aaron Rodgers a little bit. I think he's going to have a great season, but I think it's going to take him just a little bit to get in the zone with his new teammates. I think he'll
teammates? What are you talking about? Randall Cobb's there.
Well, yeah, there's always there.
He's got guys there.
Yeah, but I mean, most of that team is new guys. And I think him and Garrett Wilson already have a good rapport, but I think it's just going to take him a game or two to get going. So I think Buffalo ends up winning it. I think they end up covering. And I think this is a pretty high-scoring game, too. So
well, the over-under is 46.5.
I'm going to go over that because I see it being 31-28.
So you think Buffalo's going to cover?
Yep.
They're going to cover the 2.5?
Yep.
And you've got the over.
Yep.
I think the Jets are going to win. So I would take the Jets on the money line because that's plus money.
Is that just a feeling you have? Or?
That's just a feeling I got. I'm not big on the Bills.
That's fair.
I mean, the Jets got Dalvin Cook. They got Rodgers. They've got their defense is solid.
Is nuts. Yeah.
So
the Jets are going to be good.
Didn't the Jets beat the Bills last year with a shitty quarterback?
They did. You're right.
So I mean, I gotta look at the Jets are home. They're going to be riding a high because they got the great Aaron Rodgers, the Messiah of football. He's probably all stoned on ayahuasca, but I mean, if they lose, if the Jets lose that game, I would love to be a fly on the wall at the press conference.
Well, personally, I think they are going to lose the game, but I think it's going to have a positive effect on the team because I think they'll be back down to earth. I think with Hard Knocks and everything, everybody's just talking about it so much. I think it could be something that can knock them down the peg and focus them.
Well, I hope because I can't stand the Jets. I hate Aaron Rodgers.
I love some of their players.
I like Garrett. I do like the coach. I like Wilson. I like Dalvin Cook. I like a lot of players. I just cannot stand Aaron Rodgers.
See, I have no problem with Aaron Rodgers. I've never been a big fan of the Jets, and their fan base is way different from the Browns, but how they performed in their trajectory over the past 25 years that I've been alive watching football, they've been similar to the Browns. So, and actually even better than the Browns.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think the Jets will win. So I'd take the money line. I'd probably take the over because I don't think Buffalo's going to stop anything. I don't think the Jets are going to stop anything. So,
well,
that's it.
That's our last one. All right. So that was our take on some of the games this week. Obviously, that's for week one. There's a lot of variability there. Lots of things can happen. Next week, we'll give you guys our records, let you know how we did, and we'd love to hear more from you guys, how you guys did. If you guys want to hit us up on socials or leave a review on the podcast if you want.
What is your socials?
pretty much Justice Garber on everything. I think there might be some that say JGarb, but if you type in Justice Garber, you're going to find it. And I'm working right now on making socials for the podcast. So we'll get some uploads there for you guys too.
So how can they contact me on social?
Well, I think you don't have any, so it's not possible.
That's right.
You can be contacted by them contacting me.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so that does it for this week. Thanks for tuning in to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Chillen with the Dawgs podcast. Our episodes drop Friday mornings. You can catch them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and a lot more podcasting apps to come. You can also find it on my YouTube page at Justice Garber on YouTube. And if you'd like to support the channel, you could always watch some more videos. I make all different kinds of content. And then you can also like, comment, subscribe, follow my social medias at Justice Garber. But we really appreciate you guys checking it out, and we can't wait to get more for you next week.